right, guys, this is it, your grand final, Red Bull Kumite 2015.
The fighting game community, or FGC, follows a different set of rules. Not out of some obligation to buck the status quo, but the opposite. The community's ability to maintain tradition and keep to its core tenet of competition for all is stuff of legend, unshaken by the changing times, technology, and trends that have come and gone since its birth in the arcade era. It is the last true stalwart of the kind of open competition that esports and sports alike can only dream of. Despite its invitational nature, the FGC has embraced Red Bull Kumite as it would any of the other grassroots tournaments that have proven themselves valuable to the ecosystem of fighting games. And that's because, at its core, Kumite is a showcase of the best players in the world, a spectacle of the best the FGC has to offer, made even more complete with high production values that can rival television broadcasts.
Woo! Grand final time, baby, let's go!
As it has evolved, however, it has grown to be a proving ground for competitors. The place where the statement can be made, my time is now.
What an amazing performance of adaptation.
Where else can you get Tokido giving his classic line,
I'm sorry, your opponent is Tokido.
Oh!
Eh oui, vu que
No!
Tokido sait qu'il a envie d'être champion,
No!
mais désolé, il pourra pas le battre.
or where can you see the infallible Daigo Umehara get pushed to his absolute limit against Problem X in one of the best sets of Street Fighter history?
It's like a blast, he runs into it, no
Oh, the cross-up team! And Problem X
He
takes the
forgot.
first game.
That's just a small taste of the history that has been made at Kumite.
Finally! You said don't do it in the cross.
To understand the origins of the tournament requires some familiarity with the game that heralded a new age of competition in the FGC, Street Fighter IV. The first Red Bull Kumite in 2015 did plenty to separate itself from the tournaments of its day. The high production values were one thing, but the setting and atmosphere that was created was like none other.
Absolutely incredible play.
Held in the 400-year-old prestigious LaSalle Wagram Theater, the now famous Octagon made its first appearance. While it wasn't the first cage match in FGC history, this one brought a heightened level of gravity not often seen in the space. There's an air to the scene that brings out the best of the competitors, and at that time in the game's life cycle, there was a lot at stake.
2015 champion!
The remaining tournaments of the calendar year were to be Street Fighter IV's last before its sequel dropped the next year. The fourth iteration of the long-running series saw a new crop of talented stars rise and begin looking to solidify their legacy among the veterans of the fighting game scene.
Oh, what an anti-air from Choo-Choo!
Red Bull Kumite, a first-of-its-kind invitational event for the FGC, presented a golden opportunity to enter the history books of the storied fighting game.
Oh, he goes for the slash.
Is it the end?
Oh,
Never has taken it! Never!
For this event to live up to the hype surrounding it, the competition needed to be more than stellar. It needed to give the world some dream matches. The event would need to have Street Fighter IV EVO champions in attendance, and they had all of them. The two-time champion Daigo, Fudo, Infiltration, Jian, and French star Luffy were present at the first Kumite.
Luffy representing France.
Joining them were other legends of the FGC, names like Bonchan, Nemo, Ryan Hart, Tokido, and Mago.
That is a huge win for Mago.
Rounding out the invites were Snake Eyes, Die Minion, Valmaster, and Choo-Choo, names that represented well for their respective scenes and were looking to prove themselves on the FGC's grandest stages.
Oh, that was ridiculous.
The tradition of having players who represent deeper connections with the community would become a hallmark of the invitation process and one that has brought a lot of fanfare to the tournament series. The Last Chance Qualifier brought an unexpected level of hype before the main attraction of Kumite. A 128-man bracket showcased some of the best in Europe, with future stars like Phenom and Problem X, among dozens of other top players battling it out for a spot in France. The two spots in the main event ultimately went to Kwangster and Gagapa, adding more representation for the hometown crowd. The main event established the hallmarks of Red Bull Kumite for the future. Walkout introductions for the players, filled with lights, epic music, the works. The French players, especially Luffy, got a hero's welcome from the crowd. But overall, the introductions gave the players a chance to show their personalities, a practice that would get more elaborate in later iterations of Kumite. The festivities ended with all the players in the cage looking out at the audience, an iconic shot that would last for years. It was time to put on a show.
All right, guys, this is it. Red Bull Kumite 2015.
Right out of the gate, it was Bonchan and Tokido that dominated the competition. At the time, both were considered among the strongest in the world, but they had yet to prove it with consistent results at major tournaments. Nevertheless, at Red Bull Kumite, they were on a collision course to the winners' finals, both with more to prove than any of the other players at their level. Bonchan's road to that eventual match, however, would be much harder. It was paved with Evo champions. He had to face off against Infiltration, Luffy, and Daigo, earning himself close 2-1 victories. Tokido would put a halt to Bonchan's run. A thrilling 3-2 victory over Bonchan in the winners' finals moved Tokido one step closer to winning the first Red Bull Kumite.
Bonchan does not look happy. He does not look happy.
Bonchan would bounce back out of the losers in a match against Nemo to get another shot at Tokido in the grand finals.
Nemo is on the verge of being eliminated.
And Bonchan has his chance now to run it back with what looks to be his worst enemy today.
Tokido was confident that he'd bring home the trophy. So much so that he saw the chance to take some now famous jabs at Bonchan in the lead up to their match.
Every tournament, he gets second place.
I'm out.
Unfortunately for Tokido, that streak ended that day. With 2 3-1 victorious sets, Bonchan took home the first Red Bull Kumite.
Let's go.
The biggest prize in his Street Fighter IV career. More importantly though, the win was another notch for the side of the 09ers. It was a message that they would continue to be a force in the new era of Street Fighter. Street Fighter V had big expectations for esports at its inception. The Capcom Pro Tour became an institution during the Street Fighter IV era, and players who found success in the previous title were quick to jump into the arena for the new one. What could the best players in the Street Fighter IV era show us about the Street Fighter V after only 2 months? It was a question the players at Red Bull Kumite in 2016 had the opportunity to answer.
Tokido with the murder face.
Street Fighter IV EVO champions were once again in attendance. Daigo, Infiltration, Luffy, Xian, and Momochi, the last EVO champion for Street Fighter IV, were all invited. Bonchan was back to defend his Kumite title along with the runner-up, Tokido. Both would be without their characters from the last game. Bonchan's Sagat in Street Fighter IV was a methodical juggernaut that could whittle down opponents' health with fireballs and bait them into costly mistakes.
Humongous punish.
A perfect match for Bonchan's style. Tokido's Street Fighter IV Akuma was the opposite, a character that could keep the pressure going and manhandle opponents, breaking their will.
I body him.
That was more Tokido style. Both would have to make do with Ryu, the character that represented the middle ground to both of their styles. Snake Eyes returned to round things out for the returning invited players. The newcomers to Kumite were no slouches either. Justin Wong, the iconic Marvel player who sparred with Daigo in some classic matches between Street Fighter III and IV, was in attendance to build on his legacy in fighting games with the series' newest iteration. Joining him was reigning Capcom Cup champion Kazunoko, as well as worthy contenders GamerB, Punko, Aliun, and Kiyomi. But the big story for this Kumite came from the last chance qualifier. Valmaster and Big Bird were skilled enough to make it out of the 256-man qualifier to make it to the main event, and for Big Bird, it was his coronation among the best in the FGC. Big Bird may have fallen to the losers bracket by the hands of Bonchan.
No, he wasn't ready for the walk.
He's been working so much today.
But the young player bounced back to beat GamerB and passed EVO champion Xian to get a 5th place finish in the event.
You can do this alive.
Oh, wakes up, it's easy!
And Big Bird takes out Xian!
European players had a rising star in Big Bird that they could rally behind in the
Just
new
to
game.
the finish line, Big Bird with the clutch dragon.
The tournament, and most of the first year of Street Fighter V for that matter, would be defined by two players, Infiltration and Tokido. Infiltration was quick to realize just how important movement would be in the new game, and at Red Bull Kumite he looked untouchable, maneuvering around reigning Kumite champion Bonchan and booking his ticket to the winter finals.
He went so well one too many times.
For Tokido, the name of the game in Street Fighter V was adaptation. He searched for a way to be aggressive with Ryu, a character that had limited tools, especially compared to his Akuma of old. Still, he was able to outduel Daigo on the Ryu, along with taking down Justin Wong and the reigning Capcom Cup champion Kazunoko.
Oh, this is so tense. Nice space on that jump. Very difficult to decide what to do.
And he closes it out! What a performance from Tokido. Wow.
Waiting for Tokido would be a new demon, Infiltration. The last two major events for Street Fighter V leading up to Kumite featured these two players in the grand finals. Tokido lost them both. But this weekend, Tokido was the only player to push Infiltration to the brink.
And that time he lands it and he closes it out.
He was able to get ahead 2-1 in the winner's final match, but ultimately fell 3-2.
Not gonna use the super there. Oh, he's ready for it.
Oh!
Couldn't extend. Overhead connect.
And Infiltration.
He then got another shot at Infiltration in the grand finals and was able to shake his demon's confidence with the reset.
Okay, so Tokido is serious. He's taken the jacket off. He's rolled his sleeves up.
It wasn't enough, however. For the third time in the year, Tokido would fall to Infiltration and earn second place.
Magic Pixel, he's got Tricolor! And the trade! The trade wins it!
The future Street Fighter V EVO champion had his first Red Bull Kumite trophy. After a successful second Invitational, the message was clear. Red Bull Kumite was a major force in the FGC, a tournament to aspire to. It established itself as a place where veterans and new talent could get the type of intensely focused matches reserved for those good enough to make the top 8 at most prestigious events. More importantly, it did so while putting on an amazing show.
Oh, wake up, Super! Jeez!
Oh my God!
Absolutely incredible.
And the crowd stands up. Everybody is roaring.
Where the tournament took itself next was entirely on the ability of the players to take things to a new level. Battles between the new generation of players and the established stars would become an important part of pushing the event from the Octagon in the historic theater to the mecca of fighting games in Japan and beyond.